ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरिः ॐ। पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वाम् अनुसन्दधामि। भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम् वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम्। My namaskars to you all who are listening to this talk on Srimad Bhagavad Gita. We are here in 5th chapter towards its end portion. The name of this chapter is Sannyasa Yoga. So here in Bhagavan, Sri Krishna is enunciating the true ideal of sannyasa as well as Karma Yoga are one and the same thing. They are not distinct, different from each other. The true Karma Yoga is the true renunciation, and true renunciation is the true Karma Yoga. They are not one without other. The taste of the true renunciation is the true Karma Yoga. The true Karma Yoga is itself, its epitome is true renunciation. So, they, like many great truths, they have a sort of self-contradiction in terms. Like Jivan Mukti, this word is used. So, Jivan itself means bondage, and Mukti still being alive, but that is the highest truth. Free while living itself. So this is also. So these highest truths are those where this contradiction merges into each other. So here in the last class, we have seen this verse, the 21st verse, which reads as Bahya sparsheshu asaktatma vindati atmani yat sukham sabrahma yoga yuktatma sukham akshayam ashnute. So, to attain to that infinite, undecaying happiness, akshayam. So, two conditions are told here that this we discussed in the last class, but just to touch it and to go further. So, Bahya sparsheshu asaktatma. The person, asaktatma, atma, that person, that being, that individual who is asaktatma. Asakta, he is not attached, he is not bound for the enjoyment, for the pleasure in the bahya sparsheshu, in the external contacts. Contacts is the contact between the senses and their sense objects. That is the contact. He is not dependent upon that, he is not bound by that for the happiness. He is not dependent upon that. That's why he is not attached to it. Bahya sparsheshu asaktatma. Whereas for happiness, he looks always within. Sukham vindati atmani yat sukham. Yat. So that person, that individual, vindati here knows. So the source of happiness he has found within. So both conditions are necessary. Not only the person is uninterested, he has seen all this, the pleasure, their limitations, with what cost it comes to an individual. All these kinds of variations. So after going through all this, a person comes to a maturity and he do not want to pursue it further. That his vairagya, his dispassion is matured. With one life or with several lives. So that person, he can become asaktatma bahya sparsheshu. That he is not trying to find pleasure in outside world, in the context of senses, sense organs and sense objects. So he is not trying to find pleasure in that, and rather for a purer bliss, for unconditional bliss, which is deeper, which is sustainable, which has more pervasive effect. And to find it, he looks within, he turns within. Vindati atmani yat sukham. So that person, sa brahma yoga yuktatma. So that person is, that is called as brahma yoga. That pleasure which is implying that Brahman, Atman within, and which is unifying that person, that is called as with that Brahman, with that entity, by being always in pursuit of that. Vindati atmani yat sukham. And that is called as Brahma Yoga. That Atma Sukha, the pursuit of that pleasure within, pleasure in Atman, pleasure in that Brahman, the person who has achieved that. Vindati is knowing, finding, realizing, experiencing in various ways. It can be used Vindati Atmani. Atmani means within yourself, or within the Atman, or in that principle, we can say, in both ways. Sa Brahma Yoga Yuktatma, that person is established in Brahma Yoga Yuktatma, that person is also being called as Yuktatma. He is truly Yukta Atma. He is not Ayukta Yukta is established into yoga. Yoga means yoga again is binding one thing to the other. So what is being bound here? What is one thing and other thing? One thing is here Jiva and that Atman, that Brahman. So that individual. So his mana buddhi, chitta, ahankara, all are in unison and bound at that one point target within himself or herself. So that person is established in Brahma Yoga. He or she is Yuktatma. And such a person alone can attain this Akshaya, which is undecaying, which does not goes to Kshaya. Undecaying, Akshayam. And that person alone enjoys the undecaying happiness, Ashnute. Ashnute, here Ashnam iti khadanam, eating, consuming, Ashnute. Here we can say in the sense enjoys. He alone enjoys, he or she alone enjoys this undecaying happiness, the purest form of happiness, which is without the intermediary of senses. And because mind, your then on all its modifications, all vrittis are still. So it is the intermediary of antakarna also. So that's why it is of the most purest form of the swarupa, of the nature of unity. That's why it is undecaying. Nothing can affect it. So this is the path. Wheresoever we may be, but as any individual grows gradually in this direction, so accordingly the dependence on outside world, the power of outside world is instances, different people, whatever happens, places, etc. The power they have on an individual soul to affect it, that will slowly reduce, and his power, his ability to remain stable within himself and independently of the world to draw happiness and find happiness not in matter but independent of it, as slowly it grows, that person becomes more and more happier. It is absolutely any individual, every ordinary individual, he can realize this, that one can be happy, and for that he do not have to find cause in the world. He do not have to find cause in the world, that regardless of what is happening in the world or with him or her, he can be happy. And to know this, to realize this within one's own Atman, it is not a belief, it is not a practice. Many people they wear those smiley this icons on their shirt, etc., and many kinds of philosophy. People for goodness, for well-being, for happy life, they teach and they propagate various such kinds of schools of thoughts might be there. But what Vedanta is teaching here is not that kind of thing. Vedanta is not teaching here means some people are just so forcefully smiling that you yourself feel awkward when you look at them, that it does not look all right. Happiness does not mean a a forceful smile. It is not a pretension to show happiness to others that you are happy. It is not that. So, here is the secret what Vedanta teaches you, that as these two conditions, growing independent of the external world and to find that source within you, that is the second condition. So, this is the 21st verse. This is the nature of that person, that yogi who has reached such kind of perfection. And again, explaining this idea further, what Bhagavan is saying in the next 22nd verse, ये ही संस्पर्शजा भोगा दुःख योनय एवते आद्यंतवंतः कौन्तेय न तेषु रमते बुधः. Very beautiful verse. What is being said? Sparsha, again the contact between the senses and the respective sense organs and sense objects. That is sparsha, that is contact. Without that, so, and bhogaha. Bhoga not only means sukha, but it also means dukkha. Both are called as bhoga, which can be, bhoga is something which is experienced by the individual as a result of his karma. That is bhoga. So all such fruits of actions, all such bhogas which are born out of these contacts of the indriya and indriya padartha, senses and sense organs, indriya vishaya. So they are called as dukkha yonaya, means not only bhogas, not only enjoyments, but whatever is born out of these contacts of senses and sense objects. All such these bhogas, these enjoyments especially, Bhagavan is saying they are dukkha yoni. So they only will give birth to misery alone. Dukkha yoni. They are the generators of misery. Dukkha yoni. So ye hi sansparshaja bhoga. All bhogas, all enjoyments born out of contacts of senses and sense objects, they are but the producer of misery only. All these enjoyments will lead to misery only, that is for certain. This is for certain. Nobody should be mistaken with this. All pleasures, they will lead to misery. They are bound to. This is unquestionable, beyond all doubts. This is such fact, as if a law of nature. All such pleasures which are born out of the interaction between senses and sense objects, they are bound to lead to the misery. Yehi sansparshaja bhoga dukkha yonaya evate. They will beget misery alone. Dukkha yonaya evate. Eva, indeed. There are no two opinions about it. Like when there is a wave rises from an ocean, it goes to crest. For every crest there is a trough, like in a wave pattern in physics. So wherever somewhere water rises, It is sucked from some other place. And there you can see the depth. Somewhere you can see the height. It is always so. So, which are pleasure for this moment are going to be the causes for the misery on another instance. Yehi sansparshaja bhoga dukkha yonaya evate. This is invariable truth. Cannot be challenged. This is as such. This is nature. Unequivocal. So, and whether the pleasures or the misery, they are of this nature of adyantavantah, adi antavantah. So they are of this nature of the beginning, adi, and antah, end. Whether pleasure or miseries, they begin and they end. Nothing is permanent. And the wise men, Buddha, na teshu ramate, they do not find, they do not get engrossed into it. Ramate, they do not seek to find any indulgence in those pleasures or pains, because they are not permanent. So, as they come, let them go. So, there is a similar verse, what we had seen earlier in second chapter. It very clearly reminds these words, Adyantavanta kaunteya na teshu ramate buddha. So, it is the 14th verse in second chapter. See how it reads, Matra sparshastu kaunteya shitoshna sukhadukkada. So, matra sparsha. So, contact of this tanmatra, of these vishayas. With what? With senses, of course. They are of the nature of shitoshna sukhadukkada. They are of this knowledge of shita and ushna, and of this experience, sukha and dukkha. They are always so. And agama apayinaha, they are of this nature. They begin and they fade away, apayina. That's why they are called as anitya. Agama apayinaha anitya tan titikshasva bharata. That do not make those things your home. Do not enjoy, do not think to live along with them. Titikshasva. They are anitya. They come and they go away. They will pass away with time. So do not make those things your own. So develop this anasakti, bahya sparsheshu asaktatma. Become that person. Become that person. That this is the nature of ghor vishay and what we call it sansar. How it is in the minds of an individual. You might have seen such people. They do not seek spirituality. It is not like that they do not want to understand it, do not want to even turn towards it. Maybe they are very afraid to lose their present state of mind, present state of this happiness, satisfaction or security what they are enjoying. Like Sri Ramakrishna gave that example of the camel. in the woods, in the in the sands, in the desert, which has nothing but those thorny bushes. When it eats, those thorns pricks the mouth of the camel, which leads to bleeding of the mouth. But camel still does not live eating those bushes, those thorny bushes. It rather enjoys it. So there is happiness and misery, pleasure and sorrows in our life. Gita says, or scripture says, develop anasakti towards it. Knowing this truth, because there is never going to be only happiness or only misery in life. They are agama, apayana and anitya. They have beginning, they come, they will go. Nothing is going to be permanent. This thing I always remember when I was brahmachari here in Mumbai ashrama. And you might have known, most of you might have known Ram Maharaj Swami Devarupanandji, who was vice president of Ramakrishna Math Mumbai, and he was cashier, and he used to take Vedic mantra classes. So sometime it is to happen that I used to come to him with respect to some work or other. So one day in those days, he had asked me this question. In some context, something I do not remember that, but that two words of his, what he asked and what he means, the question and that answer, it forever remained imprinted on my heart, in my memory. So I never forget it. So he asked me this thing, the same thing what is being said in Gita. In those days, I could not correlate it ever to the Gita, what he had asked. But as I find here exact verses, it very much reminds me of his words. So he asked me that there are good things and bad things in the world. There is happiness and pleasures, joys, as well as sorrows, miseries, disappointment, etc. Yes, Maharaj. And then what should we learn from it? This is what he asked. What is the lesson? Now, facts are before you. What do you infer from it? What kind of conclusion you come to? This is what he asked. What should we do when we learn this fact? There are good things and bad things in the world. So what should we do? So how should we live? How should we act? So I was, of course, I could not answer that question. I did not know how to respond, how to make of it. Because I was not ready, I had not thought it through. Yes, this is fact, this is right, this is correct. There are good things, there are bad things in the world. So is there a lesson for me? So he replied, so when he saw me that I am not able to say anything, so he said, there are good things in the world, there are bad things in the world, and knowing both of them, we should develop dispassion towards them. This is what he said. We should develop vairagya towards it. So he said, he put it in a very, in the similar terms, as Gita is saying. Hey Vijay, आवाज हो रहा है किसी चीज का? So there are happiness and there are ये कहा कुछ ये कौन कोई घिस रहा है क्या? क्या कोई आवाज कर रहा है? सखाराम को देखो. कोई बाहर आवाज कर रहा है क्या कोई? So मात्रा स्पर्शास्तु कौंतेय शीत उष्ण सुख दुखदा. So they are these senses and their sense experiences, sense interactions with the sense world, sense objects. They gives rise to this knowledge of Shita Ushna, of this duality, and thus the experience of the nature of such a dual experience of the nature of Sukha and Dukkha. Agama apayina, they will come, they will go. That's why they are called as Anitya. Because they are not permanent. Sukha Dukkhada. Agama apayina Anitya tan titikshasva Bharata. O Bharata, O Arjuna, forbear them. Titikshasva, forbear. As mother said, to forbear, sajja karo. And this similar word, actually Bhagavan is going to use this word to forbear in the next verse, 23rd verse. So here Bhagavan has said that all those enjoyments, all those bhogas, sansparshaja bhoga, dukkha onaya evate, they are with certainty. They are going to lead you to the misery. There is no doubt. Have no doubt about this truth. No question about it. And thus the wise people do not indulge in it. So they are going to be the experience of every individual. Do not stick to it. So I was trying to say about certain kind of people. You will see them that they rather enjoy it. Even the unhappiness, even the miseries of it, they cling to it. They have become so accustomed, so familiarized with this thing that they don't want to part away with this thing. Sri Ramakrishna had given several examples or have referred to such people various ways in where we find in Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. That is Vishaya Sakta, that is a ghor sansari vyakti. So, for that person, there is still time that he is awakened to the alternate reality that we will see in the 16th chapter. That when Daivasur Sampad Vibhag Yog comes, so how is the mindset of such person? How these people think? So very beautiful words, phrases we find there. So there does not exist anything apart from this, what they experience, what they know as true. That is something. So do not be like that. Na teshu ramate buddha. That person has not taken this as the ultimate truth and clinging to it with his life. Na ramate. He is trying to find a way through it, trying to be free of it, trying to go on higher dimension, trying to find that source of pleasure within Vindati Atmani Yat Sukham. That is a spiritual aspirant. So, this is the difference. ये ही संस्पर्शजा भोगा दुःख योनय एवते आद्यंतवंत कौंतेय न तेषु रमते बुधः. So he does not indulge in it. And further, here now this 23rd verse. This is a great statement is made. Many times I have seen sadhus quoting this. And this is indeed something a great hallmark or for self-evaluation, we can say. This 23rd verse. What is it saying? Shaknoti. So, one who can, Shaknoti. Ihaiva, here itself. Here itself means here in this body, very much in this body, in this mind. That is the meaning of Ihaiva. Iha means this world which is experienced through this body and through this mind. Ihaiva. Shaknoti ihaiva. Yaha. Whosoever. Sodhum. Forbear. Whosoever here can forbear. Shaknoti means can. Whosoever here can forbear. What? What? That is being said later. But prak. Prak means prior to. And prior to what? Sharira vimokshanat. Before leaving the body. Sharira vimokshanat. From getting freed of the body. Getting freed of the body means, that is how it is being said here. Vimokshanat. That is in Panchami Vibhakti. So, freed from body. That is the word. That is how the words are being used. So, so who is going to freed from the body? This jiva, when you leave this body and when you transmigrate to another body along with your prana, indriya, etc. So body is left. Antakara, prana, indriya, you live. That will come in the 15th chapter, Purushottam Yoga. So, before leaving this body, if you can forbear. Now what you are going to forbear? That is being said. What you have to forbear? And if you can, so what then? If you can forbear, what then? So in the first two charans it is being said here, before one leaves his body, if he can forbear, this is what is being said until now. So what? Here kama, krodha, udbhavam, vegam. So vegam, avegam, that great force, vegam, that great momentum, if we say, rather use that word, vegam. And what? Kama, krodha, udbhavam, which is born of kama and krodha, that momentum, that impulse. If so, what does it mean? Then if one can forbear before living in this body, before being freed from this body, what does that mean? Means living in this body when you are alive, you are experiencing. Being in this body, when you are able to forbear, to digest, to absorb, not give reaction to. That is the meaning of sodhum, to forbear, to absorb. What? The momentum which is created by, which is born out of kama and krodha, lust and anger, desire and anger. So the force which is created by this kama and krodha, that is of a brute nature. That is of a brute nature. Even if we try to logically stall them, use your buddhi, use arguments, it is so persistent in its nature, in its efforts, that it keeps on knocking, keeps on knocking, keeps on knocking. As if you will see that it is endless. It will not go away until you concede to its demand. That avegam, that it wants you to keep aside all your thoughts and go along, flow along with that avegam. Kama krodhod bhavam vegam. That vegam. That flow, that momentum. One who can hold still his soul in the face of this brute onslaught of this momentum born out of this kama and krodha. If one can do that, when being alive in this body, then that person is yuktaha. Then that person is established in yoga. Sa yukta. Then if that person is unshaken, unmoved, unaffected, then truly he is yukta, without being anchored into something very permanent, which is the Atman within. Unless he is firmly tied to that source, he will not be able to do so. That's why that has been put as a test, sa yuktaha, sa sukhi, that he alone is a truly happy person. Happiness in the context of here, that akshayam sukham akshayam, that happiness, that purer happiness which is born out of that undecaying immortal principle. Sa Brahma Yoga, sa yuktah, sa Brahma Yoga yuktatma. So this is one beautiful test, a self-evaluation for every one of us. Whether we are able to live with ourselves, whether we are being able to forbear the onslaught of this this force and move in the direction. Shaknoti ihaiva yasodhum prak sharira vimokshanat kama krodhod bhavam vegam sa yukta sa sukhi narah. So that individual is alone a truly yukta as well as sukhi. So this is the 23rd verse. Shaknoti ihaiva yasodhum prak sharira vimokshanat. So this is what the taste of the yoga, the taste of that yogi, what he has achieved, or this is rather the path, we can say, towards that highest state. This is the way. Then another, this 24th verse describe the similar characteristic. That person who is able to do this, that is his nature, that yo anta sukha antara ramah and tatha antar jyoti revayah. Sayogi Brahma Nirvanam Brahma Bhuta Adhigacchati. So that person, his Sukha is within Antas Sukha. He pursues it within only. He does not pursue it outside in Bayas Parsheshu. So that person is Antasukha, Antararama. He is Antararama. He finds his Aramaha in Antara, Antapura only, in his Atman only. And he does not find that in this Sansparshaja Bhoga. He does not find that Nateshu Ramate Buddha. He does not do it there, but he finds it within Antararamaha. Tata Antarjyoti Revaya, that he finds the light, that is the knowledge, within only. So here means as if these three adjectives, they are used to represent three gunas. The pursuit of Sukha, that we can take it as implying the Rajoguna, then Arama, where there is the cessation of any action, we can take it as the representative of Tamas Guna, Tamoguna, and Jyoti, which is a light, which is representative of Sattva. Light is representative of Sattva. So his three gunas and their motivating all forces, they are turned within, and that Atman is realized in the heart of that person. So that is how his yo anta sukha antararama antarjyoti revaya, that all his pursuits are turned within, his relaxation is within, and the light, the consciousness, the knowledge, that all he finds within that Atman alone. So such is the nature of that person, that yogi, he is Brahma Nirvanam. That this Nirvana, Brahma Nirvanam, why this word has been used in such a way, that Nirvana, simply it can means liberation from anything. It can be you are freed from your debt. Okay, so word can be utilized there. Freed from is your duties, your obligations, etc. So if somebody escapes the misery of his disease, misery of different ways of time, space, or any cause, he is freed from it. So he has sort of attained nirvana, but we are not talking about anything or even going to heaven. We are not talking of any such kind of deliverance, any such kind of nirvana. So nirvana, which is attained by the realizing of that state of unified, infinite consciousness, which is, the word is used is Brahman. So that's why Brahma Nirvanam. That is infinite. One. And absolute existence, knowledge, bliss. That is Brahman. So attaining to that the freedom, that nirvana which is achieved, that's why this word is used, Brahma Nirvanam. And Brahma Bhuta Adhigacchati. So Brahma Bhuta is not like what we call in colloquially Bhut, like a ghost. So Brahma Bhuta, something like Brahma Rakshasa. So it is not that. So Brahma Bhuta, that one person who has attained to Brahman and who has realized that oneness with Brahman, Brahma Abhuta Bhavati. He has become one with the Brahman. So that's why Brahma Bhuta. So Adhigacchati is going or attaining. Adhigacchati, Adhi shows that, Adi means that comprehensively, very squarely. There is no room of doubt left. Adhigacchati. Adhikarena gacchati. So these are, that's why Brahma Nirvanam and Brahma Bhuta, both, so to say, are being states that person has attained. He has realized that oneness, absolute oneness with the Brahman. So the person who has turned all his three gunas and their actions, their forces within, ya antasukha antararama antarjyotirevayah sayogi brahma nirvanam brahma bhuta adhigacchati. So that person attains this highest state, who has turned all his forces of all his prakriti, all his gunas, of these gunas, everything is made, like your antakaranas, etc. So they are all turned within. And when in that culmination such a height is reached, he becomes free. He realizes his oneness, unity with that highest truth. Sa Brahma Nirvanam Brahma Bhuta Adhigacchati. This is the 24th verse. That person attaining to that state, Brahma Nirvanam, it said, Labhante Brahma Nirvanam Rushayah, such rishis, having attained that Brahma Nirvanam, Kshina Kalmashaha. So whatsoever their sins, any taints, they becomes all weaker. Kshina, they are destroyed. So to say, they do not now have any more power now. They are powerless. Kshina Kalmashaha. Whatsoever that person might have done in his past. So, Kalmashaha. And this person, Chinnad Dvaidha. Dvaidha, that is the duality, the confusion. One or the other. This Dvaidha, Dvaita, he has destroyed. Chinnad Dvaidha. Because he has attained that unity. Chinnadvaidha yatatmanaha, that completely self-controlled being. Yataha, niyataha, that is mean controlled, disciplined. And that person, very such thing, that person who has attained this Brahma Nirvanam, whose all sins are now powerless, and who has now transcended this duality. What do this person do? They engage themselves in the well-being of all, in the service of all beings. Sarva bhuta hite rataha. For the good of all beings, they engage themselves in such acts. So, labhante brahma nirvanam rushayah kshina kalmashaha chinnadvaidha yatatmanaha sarvabhuta hite rataha. So, this is the 25th verse. So, here we can take this 26th verse, so that only 27, 28 and 29th verse will be remaining. So we can take that in the next class. So 26th verse says, Kama Krodha Viyuktanam Yatinam Yatachetasam. So here this word is again repeated here from the 25th verse, Yatatmanaha. Here Yata means Niyata, when there a person disciplines himself, his mind, his senses. So these people who are now freed of completely Viyuktanam, completely gotten rid of their Kama and Krodha. Kama Krodha Viyuktanam, completely free, absolutely free. Kama Krodha Viyuktanam. These Yatinam, these Yatis, sannyasis, Yata Chetasam, in their this disciplined Chetasa, Chetasa is heart, the mind, in this in their heart. What is there? Brahma Nirvanam Vartate. These are Vartate Viditatmanam. So Viditatmanam, who have Atmanam. So who have realized Atman. Vidita Atmanam. So the one who has realized Atman, Vidita Atmanam, and those yatis, sannyasis, or whosoever has disciplined, attained this state, such yogi, Kama Krodha Viyuktanam, of such people who has become completely free of this lust and anger, Kama and Krodha. Such Yata Chetasam, who has completely controlled their mind. For them there Vartate. For them there is Brahma Nirvanam. Brahma Nirvanam Abhitah. Here, within this body or after leaving this body, there is no doubt. So that is, they are secured this highest liberation for themselves, Brahma Nirvanam. The Nirvana into the Brahma, by way of realizing the oneness with that highest truth. So these are very beautiful verses. So we can always meditate. Because these verses are narrating, are like in these few verses, they are putting forth before us, they are letting us form an idea of that heart of such a yogi who has attained the highest. Even we can imagine that. That's why contemplating on these verses, repeating those verses in our heart, it will leave a sort of impression. We are imperfect. When we try to imagine perfection, this makes a way for ourselves to go nearer. So it is very necessary for our heart to imagine this thing. And that's how these positive sanskaras are created. When you contemplate, when you think about this, cogitate about these things, various ways, when your doubts are removed, when you understand, comprehend them very nicely, it furthers your way for imagination. With imagination, what happens? Your mind can now, there is a certain higher state of understanding, what we say as it comes through correlation. In imagination, you are trying to become that. In your heart, you are trying to become that. Now you develop sanskaras. Your power of correlation develops further. And this is how this positive cycle grows. It is also true for the negative thing. So it is also true for the positive thing. You contemplate, you assimilate those ideas, you are able to correlate more, you are able to imagine more. You grow grain by grain nearer to that thing. With these kinds of things, then actually it helps you to transform, to grow and act in your real life. It can develop you to inculcate that value, that character. Slowly it helps you. That's why imagination is very important. And that's why right things must be imagined. Right things must be inculcated. Right things, therefore, they must be contemplated. Otherwise, dhyayato vishayan punsa, as we saw in the second chapter. So this spiral can go downwards. We can make it go upward slowly. Going upwards, of course, is going to be difficult because you are going to create it new. But going downwards, it is going to, as if going to pull it by its own force of gravity, because already you have come through it. Your mind is habituated to it. It is the beaten track. It is always going to be easier. So for mind to go run down that track. So going to the old bad ways, it is always going to be easier. Sinful. But your mind will always pursue it to commit that sin once more, once again, at least once, in this way. So kama krodha viyuktanam yatinam yatachestasam. For such people, abhitah brahma nirvanam vartate viditatmanam. So this is what is being said. Bhagavan is saying. So two important verses, 27 and 28. And 29th verse has a different importance in this context, like it connects, it takes you to the next chapter. So we will see these verses in the next class. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.